Hello, welcome to Anime Mystics. I'm Roman, and tonight I am watching Tensei Shitara Slime Datta Ken Episode 2. So, last episode we were introduced to our main character, Sato Mikami. I had to look it up, that's why I remember it. Who was meeting I'm assuming he's a coworker, out in the city, and basically his coworker was trying to introduce him to his girlfriend, and I guess kind of get his thoughts on what he thought of her and stuff like that. But as they were getting ready to leave to go to a restaurant to eat dinner, some random dude is just running down the street with a knife and stabs him in kind of like the back. He pushed his coworker out of the way to keep him from getting stabbed, which is why he was killed. And then even though the guy dropped his knife, nobody's trying to stop him. Let's just watch him run off. Anyway, as he's dying, he's thinking to himself things, like it's hot. Assuming the blood feels warm or hot. And as he's saying all this, there's a voice, kind of like a computerized voice, saying things like heat resistance, confirmed. If you said it was cold, then cold resistance confirmed, which then combined to make heat, or fluctuations in heat and cold. He's resisted to that. Electric current resistance. He doesn't feel pain. He self-regenerates. He's got a bunch of different abilities. As he's dying and thinking of all these different things of, that's happening, it's making abilities for him. And then he tells his coworker to destroy his hard drive. Yeah, just destroy the hard drive in his computer. And then he dies. And then he wakes up in his new world, a slime. Typically one of the weakest enemies in any kind of fantasy style game or story. Usually low level, easy to kill, that kind of thing. He has no idea what is going on. He kind of suspects that he's a slime at first. He suspects that he's a slime based on the fact that he can't talk, he can't see. He's just kind of dissolving things as he's ingesting them. Plants, rocks, anything. I guess you can call it digesting it. What he does is he takes whatever he digests, stores it into his body, and he can use it later on. He was getting these plants, these herbs, I should say, and creating potions and storing them in his body. Which, yeah, that's pretty useful. He then starts, figuring out, he's asking this voice that he heard before, what is this ability? What is that? Because they're mentioning abilities, and he doesn't know what any of them does, so he's asking, and they're explaining. And then he ends up kind of just traveling around, eating all the herbs and these ores in order to, I think he said that the voice said they were valuable, so I'm assuming he's going to use them later to get money. But he ends up falling into, I guess, a cave lake, thinking, oh, well, I guess this is it for me. But he's not drowning because he doesn't have a nose, he doesn't breathe. So he just pulls in some water and spits it out, kind of like a jet, and it pushes him out of the water. and he hits like a magical barrier. This is when he meets a dragon. I think it was called the Great Storm Dragon Veruda or something like that. Dragon's been sealed up for 300 years, has not seen anybody since then. And he's saying, trying to talk to him. Apparently, the dragon is able to read thoughts because that's the only way he can speak. Not the dragon, but the slime. And he calls the dragon a baldy. And the dragon here, understands it. And he's like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you that. It's just I can't see or talk. I didn't think you'd be able to hear my thoughts. And the dragon shows him a way to be able to see using this thing called magic sense, where it senses all of, I think it's called magic something. I don't remember what it was called, but it's like it's what gives everything life, and in this world anyway. And it basically, magic sense is able to detect all of them to allow him to see everything in the area. So he's technically not seeing anything with eyes. He's kind of sensing it, almost like a almost like an echolocation, but not an echolocation because he's not sending out a signal. Or maybe he is, because it did show something kind of go around him. So maybe that's just nah, it's not a signal. Anyway, once he's able to see, I should also mention the dragon gave him some conditions before he told him how to do this. The first condition was that he could not be afraid of him once he saw what he looked like. And 2, he had to come back and talk to him again sometime. Because, again, he's been locked up for 300 years, he's bored. He said it multiple times that he's bored. Anyway, he's able to see now, so he goes to the lake again to kind of see if he actually is a slime, and he's like, yep, I'm a slime. Then he goes back to the dragon and is, trying to thank him, and then he sees what he looks like, and he kind of freaks out a bit. But he stays and talks with him after the dragon started pouting because he said he was going to leave. Asked how he got in there, and the dragon told him that he kind of accidentally burned down a village, which did not look like it was an accident at all. He was purposefully destroying everything in the village. Anyway, he said some hero showed up and stopped him, sealing him in that magic barrier, which I think was called Eternal Barrier or something like that. And mentions that she is what is called a summon, which is basically something that 30 mages have to gather in order to bring about. And they have to do this ceremony for a few days. And they summon this, I guess it's a person or whatever they want. I don't know exactly how it works. But it has to do whatever the summoner wants them to do. Basically, there is some kind of, I guess you can call it kind of a curse that makes it so that the summon has to do whatever the summoner says. He also tells him that the way he got there is actually kind of strange. He says that there are other people from other worlds in this world, but usually they get there in other ways. This is the first time he's ever met somebody who was actually reincarnated into this world. Because he was wondering why a slime, usually, as he said, a low-level creature, is able to talk and do all this stuff, because usually they don't think at all. And that's when he mentions that that he died, and when he woke up he was there, and he starts mentioning all this other stuff. So the dragon finishes with his story, and he's like, the slime is like, he can't imagine what it's like to be alone for 300 years. How he thought he had it bad because he was 37 and still a virgin, didn't have a girlfriend. And says, all right, well, why don't we be friends? And the dragon is like, did a mere slime really suggest that the great storm dragon become its friend? And he's like, I mean, if you don't want to. The dragon, all tsundere, is like, I didn't say I didn't want to. And he's like, okay, so do you we're gonna be friends, and that's all there is to it. Otherwise, we're through. And the dragon's like, all right, fine, whatever. You should be grateful that I'm being your friend. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. So he makes it to this world, becomes a slime that is like super OP. Usually what happens with the characters in these kinds of shows. And then makes friends with a dragon. Apparently one of only 4 dragons in this world. I wonder if we'll see the other 3. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen in this episode. So let's get into it. I know it took me a while to explain all that, but a lot happened and was explained during that episode. Alright, so video is going to be located over here. And the link to the reaction is going to be in the description down below. And we're going to start this episode in 3, 2, 1.